A former FBI director now facing federal charges and serious new questions surrounding the shooting investigation at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Two big headlines we're tracking for you this morning with veteran FBI Special Agent in Charge and former Chicago Police Superintendent Jody Weis. Always great to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us. I want to start with former FBI Director James Comey now facing those charges, including threatening the president and transmitting a threat across state lines. How significant will this case be, especially when they say now, these investigators say this case goes well beyond a single social media post?
Yeah, good to be with you again, Jan. Think about this. We have a former director of the FBI allegedly being charged with threatening the president of the United States. That's unheard of. So I don't think there could be a bigger case, but this one has to be a winner. You cannot move forward without sufficient evidence. And I would love to have been in that federal grand jury to have heard all of the evidence that was presented, but we'll learn more as this goes forward.
Well, the case, as we now know, has been in the works for nearly a year with witnesses and grand jury evidence expected to help establish what they're calling, the mental state of someone. How critical is that kind of built-out evidence when you're trying to show someone's true intent in court?
Oh, absolutely essential. I can guarantee you seashells on the beach spelling out 8647 is not going to result in a conviction. But like Todd Blanche said, they've worked this case for 11 months. And how do you prove intent? You talk to witnesses, you interview them, you look at records. So I know we're going to see much more evidence as this case moves forward. And keep in mind, you're not going to convince James Comey that he ever threatened the president. The prosecution is going to have to convince that jury that he did. So we'll have to see how this moves forward. Very interesting case. So keep an eye on this one.
Yeah, another case we're going to be following, obviously, is the investigation of the assassination attempt at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We know that the inner perimeter held, the outer perimeter was breached, though, and you have some key questions now that you've been able to see some of the video footage. How does that kind of breakdown happen in a setting that's supposed to be locked down tight?
Yeah, I'm very concerned about that. I mean, when we saw that video, you had guys breaking down the magnetometers, which they have to do. But the other individuals, they were not at the proper level of situational awareness. They were shocked when that guy came through. The biggest question I have, Jan, was the canine. That dog did its job. He alerted on someone behind a door. Bomb dogs can definitely pick up the smokeless powder in today's ammunition. So the dog alerts, the canine officer has some interaction with the subject. We don't know what it was, but then he pulls the dog away. He could have prevented that entire incident from happening. So we need to really look at what happened. The question to me is it a training issue? Is it a staffing issue? Or is it something else?
Well, does this point to a larger, perhaps, systemic problem inside the Secret Service that needs to be addressed, especially when you look at, the full picture, as you mentioned, this canine alert that did not trigger action, and as you mentioned, questions about training and staffing?
Yeah, Jan, when Sean Curran, when he said on national television that the site was set up perfectly and that he would not change the configuration, I was shocked. If he truly believes that, then that tells me the standards for the Secret Service have fallen so far. When I used to work with them all the time when I was in Army EOD. And it's one thing to defend your men and women. You have to do that, but you also have to be honest and tell the American public, yeah, we made some mistakes, and here's what we're going to do to fix them. This is the President of the United States. 3 attempts. They're going to have to raise their game because sooner or later, one of these might be successful, and we cannot have that tragedy on our hands as a country.
And what about the parking garage situation of all of this? Do we know how adequately that was even swept during this whole entire process? Because you mentioned something interesting, that if somebody had an explosive, explosives inside a truck, inside a vehicle that was parked underneath, this could have been more than just the president, as we know. There was a lot of cabinet officials there and thousands of press people there as well.
Yeah, I was very concerned when Sean Curran said that was the outer perimeter, what we saw that guy breach. I'm sure they had individuals that have swept the garage where canines went through, then EOD followed afterwards. But a large vehicle bomb in close proximity to that ballroom could have been devastating. So we have to just hope. He's not going to give us all of his inside baseball plans, but they've got to raise their game. 3 assassinations attempts on a president, that should not be happening.
A lot of security changes, I believe, are ahead for the president. All right, Jody, always great to see you. Veteran FBI Special Agent in Charge, former Chicago Police Superintendent Jody Weis. We appreciate your expertise in joining us this morning.
Thank you. Be safe. Stay well.
You too.